Welcome to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger. Badass Direct Sales Mastery is a podcast for rock star direct sales moms who are determined to make their business kick ass. Jennie will share her knowledge of effective sales and recruiting techniques, tips to get what you want from your business, and will interview direct sales professionals and leaders from various companies. The interviews will give insight to how these rock stars got to where they are and where they plan to grow in the future. And now, the direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger.
Welcome back to another episode of the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast. This is your direct sales dom, Jennie Bellinger, and I have someone who I met completely serendipitously that I'm interviewing today. Chris Kissel is someone that I met when my boyfriend and I went to his company conference back in late January, early February of 2020, right before all the COVID stuff happened. And Chris and I ended up actually sitting next to each other at one of the events for the company. It was Pruvit. And we started talking and we realized we were in Las Vegas, met in Las Vegas at this Pruvit conference, and we lived 20 miles from each other. We found out we're both from the St. Louis area. So we just connected instantly, had a great connection, talked, and we have been working together ever since then. And it has been my absolute pleasure to work with Chris. So Christine Kissel has been with the Pruvit company for 5 years, pretty much almost since the very beginning of the company when they first started. She is an active senior with a secret weapon for a better life. She educates people on how to utilize their body's preferred fuel source. She has been in the field of health and wellness for over 30 years. So obviously you all know she's like 32, right? Just kidding. She totally embraces her active seniorhood. And she is a representative with the company called Pruvit. So welcome to the show, Chris.
Thank you, Jennie. I'd like to add to that intro because it was very serendipitous that we met, and we just kept finding each other through the rest of the conference. It was crazy. We ended up next to each other exercising, and then I'd look over and there you were, and everywhere I looked, there you were, and it was like we were supposed to be together. And so immediately I connected with you when I got home, and I didn't even know you did this kind of coaching. I'm just like, I don't know what I was supposed to be doing with you, but I found out.
Yeah, absolutely. The universe definitely put us in each other's path for a reason, because you have been a wonderful wealth of knowledge for me as someone who's been going through this keto experience. Because obviously my boyfriend is a consultant with the company. And so he's the one who really got me started on the ketones to be able to have the experience that I'm having. But because you've been doing it for 5 years, you know, when I was saying some of the things that I was experiencing, you're like, oh, here, try this instead. And you had 5 years of experience of working with people who were having similar issues and you knew how to fix it. And so that's been such a blessing for me as well. So I'm so glad we know each other.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, Pruvit is a community-based company, and we pride ourselves on helping each other no matter where you are in this company. I don't even know how he is connected to Pruvit, but I know he's part of my company. So I'm going to help you have the best experience of your life because it's just what we do. We all help each other, and it's just been such a loving and great leadership and just a wonderful community to be a part of. And I've never experienced anything quite like this.
Yeah, and I definitely can speak to that community feel. It was something that was very obvious while I was there. You know, in my years in the network marketing coaching business, as well as back when I was with my own direct sales company when I was with Park Lane Jewelry. Those conferences and conventions can really help motivate you and inspire you based on the people that you get to meet while you're there. And the connections you make end up becoming lifelong friends, even if you don't end up still in the same business. There are people I met at my company convention 7, 8, even 10 years ago. And we are still friends on Facebook. We still message each other on a regular basis, even though I'm not with that company anymore. And even some of them aren't with that company or in direct sales at all. But those friendships that come out of that are just such an addition to our lives.
That is so true. In fact, I have a woman that I'm really good friends with that I met right off the start of Pruvit, and something happened and she could not stick with it. But every morning I get to see her now during this quarantine because she is doing an exercise class through Zoom every morning at 8 o'clock, Monday through Friday. And so we are still great friends. She's going to be coming to visit me in St. Louis. And we met through this. And I've that's just enriched my life so much. All the different people I've met. Most of them are still with the company, but she's an example of somebody that we just were meant to be friends.
Absolutely. And that's a conversation I have with my clients quite often when we're talking about, well, how do you have the sales conversation with people? Well, you don't. You get to know human beings, you get to know who they are, you get to know, what they want, need and desire out of life and what problems do they want to solve right now. So if you go through and just interact with other humans during the course of that conversation, at some point if they have the problem that you solve, guess what? That's a sale.
Exactly. And you know what? I find myself to be a great connector. So I'm connected to being in what, like you said, health and wellness for 30 plus years. I know a lot of things that are out there. I know a lot of ways to help people. I also help people through muscle activation techniques, which is a form of therapy, hands on therapy. And if I can't help you with my product, I'm still going to help you with maybe somebody I know that does something different that I feel like you can be helped, because really I just want to contribute to the well-being of others.
Absolutely. And that I think is a big reason why and how you and I connected was just because we ended up really connecting on that human level of people who just we want to help others. That's our goal. So tell us your journey about how you got started with Prove It. How did you get introduced to your company?
Well, I got introduced to it when I was at a continuing ed class in Denver for my other passion, which is the muscle activation techniques. And I was
Oh.
sitting with a gentleman who was at the beginning of the company, and he actually had some things going on in his life for probably 20 previous years that he needed to be on a ketogenic diet. So then somebody introduced him to our products, which is ketones that you could drink, and he thought they were crazy, but he he tried it because he's open minded. And he sat with me during the whole convention. When you sit at a massage table, it's two people to a table. You spend a whole weekend working on each other, and that's it's like a 16-20 hour course. And so he started giving them to me, and I'm like, okay, I'm like making it through this 10-hour class, no problem. I'm thinking I'm liking this. And I had a son at home that needed a little help with focus and mental clarity, and just reading words on a page he was struggling with from some stuff he had going on. And he tried it, and I saw it help him, so I knew I wanted it for brain fuel. And I've kind of made that most of my passion, is the way the ketones are the preferred body fuel or preferred fuel for your brain.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so it does a lot of things. I'll give you a little overview of what the product is. It's a powder that you mix with water, comes
Mhm.
in several different flavors, and all you have to do is drink it, shake it up in a bottle and drink it. But the benefits seem to be better, cleaner energy. I'm not a caffeine person. I get a little shaky. I don't like that kind of energy. But it's
Right.
just straight up fuel that goes into your bloodstream, into your brain, and gives you a really nice calming way to focus and get things done. It also does help with fat loss, and it helps with better sleep. So you can get better energy and better sleep, which is kind of crazy. And it helps with your mood quite a bit. And when you get all those benefits going together, it's probably going to fix a lot of things that you might have going on just because your body's working better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely does. And it sounds to me like that's probably what's kept you as part of the business is just your own experience with the product and seeing it do those things for other people as well, right?
Absolutely. The product is top notch and it's something that is brand new technology. So most people don't quite get what it is. It is not a supplement. So you can't get this from any particular food. You can really buy it many places. And our product is naturally fermented and it's gone through quite a lot of series of patents to get it where it is today. So it's patent pending. Basic. So we like to call it technology, not a supplement. It's straight up technology that fuels your body the way it wants to be fueled.
That is so good to hear. Now, in the course of 5 years of business, I know just from my own experience and from others, it's not always rainbows and roses, right? Occasionally there are some less than positive things or some obstacles that pop up for people. So in your 5 years with your company, what's an obstacle that you've maybe encountered that you have either worked to overcome or just have gone around?
The reason the ketones are sold through a direct sales approach is because if we put it on a shelf in some store, nobody would know what it was or know what to do with it because people have to be educated on what it is because it is new technology. It's never been available before and it's not like anything else. So, having had this way, we actually have to educate people and not have to, but want to educate people and coach them through their keto journey. So, from the first packet you get in the mail, you're going to have a partner with you to help steer you the best way to make it work for your body because all our bodies are different and they all might need a different approach to using the product. So, you might be drinking at a different time than somebody else is, but you can rest assured that we've got tons of research, tons of resources, and tons of people to connect you to make your journey successful. So if somebody just ordered it, drank it down, and said, "Oh, I don't like the taste," or made me sit on the bathroom a little too long, those are things that we can totally overcome when you reach out to somebody and say, "Hey, I had this experience." We'll say, "Oh, well, I can tell you exactly why you had that experience." And I am not the expert on it. I just find the resource or the person that will share that answer with them. So you do not have to be a keto expert to be able to do this. There's so much information available that you can share with people.
And I do have to say that one of the most impressive things that I've seen about the Pruvit company is the amount of education they offer, not just for the representatives and consultants and leaders in the company, but they have all of that information out there for free available to the public. And
Yeah.
it's education about ketones, it's education about the ketogenic lifestyle, it's all kinds of education and it's coming from scientists and doctors who are doing the research around all of this, many of whom are not directly necessarily associated with the company. Some of them are completely independent of that. They are just providing the education through that. So I was very impressed with the level of education that the company provides because that just tells you the fact that they have invested in having a Roku and Apple TV app that you can get access to on your television, whether you're a client or not. If you want to learn about it, you can download this app for free and just learn about ketones, learn about the way this works. And the information that's on there it really is top notch. It's great information. And when I first, when my boyfriend first started with the company, we spent a lot of time doing some research on the education that was behind that. And with my science background, because I did teach science as an educator before, I was really interested in the science behind a lot of this, and it just fascinated me. So it's something that I've been a fan of since he first introduced it to me.
I'm like you. I geek out on the science of it too. And when I knew this this product became available, because it started off just available to really the Navy SEALs. They were using them on missions, diving and helping their brains and their body sustain themselves while they were on these dives. And then the product, the patent became available to Pruvit, and then they have since actually developed a lot more patents and just kind of keep innovating the product. They're always ahead of the curve. But like you said, this isn't something that you can get anywhere else. So our education is utmost importance to our company. There will be other companies coming out with ketones, but we've got patents on the first ones, and we stay ahead of the curve because we know what's going on, and our scientists are top notch.
Yeah, it's been really cool to be able to watch the evolution of this company, even in the last less than a year that I've been aware that it existed. So I had kind of heard whispers about this company a few years back, but just didn't know what it was, didn't know anybody who was really selling it personally, and so didn't really pursue any of that because I was frankly at that point in time starting my coaching practice, right? So I was launching my own new business, so I wasn't looking at that yet. So it's been very interesting watching all of this from afar. So I would have to say, given that you guys have such a penchant for education, that's probably one of the things that has kept you around for 5 years is the support that you get from the company in that way. Yeah.
Oh, yes. And like I said, you do not have to be a ketone expert. Sometimes it works to your advantage not to be and just show people what this product does for you and be the leading example for yourself. Once you start drinking it, you probably won't want to stop drinking it. Okay. I feel like I'm kind of aging backwards just drinking it. I can't pinpoint anything really significant that has changed, but I know I can still do everything I did 5 years ago, if not better.
Mm-hmm.
And I do get, regular doctor's appointments, and the lab results just keep getting better. And I do this independent of a strict diet. I don't want people to think I'm doing a ketogenic diet, a real strict ketogenic diet. You can be a vegetarian, you can be a carnivore, you can be anything in between.
Mm-hmm.
And this product will still work because the ketones are just going into your system and they're just helping out all your cells and making them happy and helping them signal to other cells. And that's the geeky stuff we like, Jenny, but we probably don't want to bore our audience too much
Yeah.
with that.
No, absolutely. So one of the other questions that I regularly ask my guests here on the podcast is, especially the people who've been doing this for 5 years or more. And part of the reason that I prefer to have people on who've been doing it for that long is because the Federal Trade Commission does have a statistic out there that, because they track all of this, right? 90% of people who get started in a direct sales business are gone in 5 years or less. They're not doing it anymore. And so for me, that's part of why I want to have people on who've been doing this for 5 years or more, because that means you've beat the statistic. You've evidently been successful enough that it kept you around for 5 years or more. So for you, Chris, what would you say is your secret to success in your Pruvit business?
Well, I kind of hit the jackpot right off the bat. And that doesn't happen often, but it's not what kept me going, but it does help. But it's all about who you share this information with. And if you're doing it, looking at it from a promoter standpoint, you want to share it with people that have an entrepreneurial spirit. This product completely is you got to have somebody that has an open mind. And it is
Mm-hmm.
good to have somebody that understands the science. And that's exactly the people I found when I first started this because I wanted somebody to share the message with me. And you have to have many voices and back to the education that Pruvit does, because this is something that nobody else has and nobody else has ever done before. So, and like you said, a year ago, you kind of maybe heard about it. There
Mm-hmm.
are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people that still need to hear about it. So I'm happy to be doing this podcast and helping a few other people learn about it. But just be consistent in what you do. The product itself, I would still be a customer no matter what, because I'm not going to stop drinking ketones. It's way too easy and it's way too beneficial for my health.
Mm-hmm.
But I think consistency, finding you was a godsend. I've never been in this kind of sales before, and I never thought I would. And it's not for any certain reason. I just come from a personal training background. I do muscle therapy. I'm a hands-on person, and I never really thought I would be doing this. And having you share your experiences and your coaching has been really helpful. So I encourage people to get a coach too.
Oh, well, there we go. So listener, keep in mind what Chris just brought up were three different great secrets to success. First of all, be a lifelong learner. Get yourself educated regularly. Those people who stay engaged in the learning, stay engaged in the business. As soon as you think you know everything, I can promise you, you are done in the business, right? Anybody that you talk to who's been doing this for years, decades, and in many cases for multiple decades, right, will tell you they are still learning all kinds of things about the business all the time. The second thing you brought up was the consistency, staying consistent with your own use of the product, because then you have your own story to share, being consistent with the business activity, doing that on a daily or weekly basis. And then the final part is getting a coach, right? If not Jenny, who, right? So having a coach can be beneficial because they give you that outside point of view. They can help you see the things that you're not seeing because you are so head down, buried in what you're doing every day. And even if you're out learning other things from your company, learning from other leaders in your company, learning from other leaders in other companies, the coach still helps you stay focused on the goals that you set when you start working with them. So anybody who has felt frustrated with their business because they feel like they set a goal and then they forget that it existed. That's where having a coach is beneficial to say, "Hey, remember back when we started talking and you said you wanted this?" They help bring that back to the forefront. Or if it's changed, identifying what that new goal is so they can help keep you on track for that as well. So I do appreciate you bringing that up, Chris. Thank you very much.
Well, it's been helpful for me in the respect that I know when I'm going to get on a call from you, it prompts me to look back and say, what was that goal I was supposed to be doing? But in all
Exactly.
seriousness, it keeps you accountable. And like you said, we get our heads buried in the sand of what we're doing, and it's so refreshing to have people from other companies join in with their experience and their products and learning from them. And I, being with ketones for 5 years, think, oh, everybody has heard about ketones, and very few people have. But it's been my life for 5 years, and I'd be like, okay, I've got to keep remembering that people need to know about this conversation. So I try never to stop having the conversation.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Chris, for being on the show. Before we go, you did say that you have a little gift for the listener if they wanted to. Would you like to share that gift with everybody?
I'd love to. What makes our company a little bit different too is that I can personally send you a 5 or 10 day experience pack of the ketones, which means you'll get a variety of flavors, and you will also be able to experience it without going headfirst into our system and filling out this and filling out that. You can kind of see what you like. You can kind of pick out a flavor that way if you're not quite ready to just jump on board and order something. So it's a good way to get a little baby sneak peek. So I'm offering $5 off either the 5 day or the 10 day experience that I can just send you personally.
That is awesome. So, if you guys are interested in giving this a try and just seeing what this is, or even just reaching out to Chris, I am including her email. She did in our pre interview mention that her preferred way of you reaching out to her is her email. So, what I want you to do is make sure you go into the show notes and click directly on that email address. So that way you can reach out to her. And if you're interested on taking her up on her offer of getting $5 off a 5 day or 10-day trial experience of the Pruvit ketones, please feel free to do that by emailing her. And then, she's also on Facebook and Instagram, so you can also reach out to her in those other ways as well. So, Chris, thank you again for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your life to share your experience with direct sales here.
Well, I appreciate you, Jenny, and I hope we've educated people on the benefit of ketones during this.
Absolutely. I can't imagine that anybody could come away and say they didn't learn something, which is awesome. All right. Thank you guys so much for spending another episode with us. And make sure you stay tuned because there's another badass episode coming right up.
Thanks for listening to the Badass Direct Sales Mastery Podcast with your direct sales dom, Jenny Bellinger. Why are you waiting to go to badassdirectsalesmastery.com? Don't make the dom get her whip. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to share it with another rock star that you know in direct sales after you subscribe to the podcast so you won't miss any future episodes. You can also check out the show notes for links and any contact information mentioned in today's episode. We'll see you next time.